If you haven't met me yet, my name is Bree. This is an all levels vinyasa. And it's a little bit modified right now because I hurt my wrist. So we do a little bit less on the hands and a little bit more in other realms of the yoga world. Take a moment to center in. So as you find your seat, you can always sit up on a block to get some height if that feels better for your back. And it could be a bolster as well. I have that right here, so if that's something you're interested in. Bring your hands down onto your lap. Lengthen up through the spine. Close your eyelids down. And just take a moment to arrive. Breathe a deeper breath. Feel your pelvis grounding down into the earth beneath you. Lengthen up through the spine, through the crown of the head. And let each breath kind of root you into the present moment, in the here and the now. Begin to let go of any breath in your lungs, HA. Inhale fully through your nose. And like you were to fog up a mirror, open mouth, HA. 2 more like that. Inhale. Open mouth, HA. Last big breath in. Open mouth. Notice the little constriction in the back of the throat. Keep that constriction. Inhale through your nose. Exhale through your nose. This is called Ujjayi breath. Keep working the breath. Inhale with that constriction. And exhale, keeping that constriction. The breath may start to sound audible, like a slight whisper of the breath. Use this Ujjayi breath to really ground you in your body and on your mat throughout the duration of practice. Heavy down into the earth. Inhale, circle sweep. Reach your arms high. Maybe even look up. Join your hands at a prayer and bring the prayer all the way down to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Gesture of offering, of deep reverence. Take a soft bow, forehead to fingertips, just acknowledging yourself for showing up, for being here, and acknowledging all of the teachers and the teachings that are here for us. Lift your skull up. And if you're on a block, maybe get off of that before and come to a tabletop position. And so when you land in a tabletop, spread wide through your fingers and press your hands into the mat, the tops of the feet into the mat. Pull back through your fingertips. You'll see that I'm going to do a lot on my fists today to just stay off of my wrists. If you have wrist pain, you're also welcome to do that as well. Inhale, shift your sit bones to the sky and melt through your heart. Find a cow. Exhale, round. Press your hands and knees into the mat. Cat. One more. Inhale, shift your sit bones high to the sky and melt. Cow. Exhale, round. Puff up into the back body. Cat. Come to a more neutral position here. Bring your toes together. Shift your hips way back onto your heels. And crawl your hands forward for a child's pose, Malasana. You could make this child's pose really active by coming up onto attentive fingertips. Keep working your Ujjayi breath. Breathe more breath into the back of the body and into the sides of the body. Walk your hands over towards the left. They could come off the mat if you want, and let your right arm follow. Take a big breath and breathe deep and full into the right side of your body. come back towards center. Now walk your hands over towards the right. Bring the hands maybe even off the mat. Keep working to push your fingertips into the mat to send your hips onto your heels. Take a big breath. Breathe into the left side of the body. Come back through center. Thread the needle. Weave your right arm through the left. Find a little shoulder stretch. Press your left arm into the mat as you tug your right arm back into space. Come back through center, second side. Weave your left arm through. Find that shoulder stretch the other way. Press your right palm into the mat as you tug that left arm back. Come back through center. Rise up through your tabletop. Lower your forearms down to the mat. So forearm tabletop, still working the back and the shoulders. Start to round through your spine. Puff up into the back body. Stack your shoulders just above the elbows. Pull the navel in like you're trying to connect the navel to the back of the spine. Inhale, and vertebra by vertebra, shift your sit bones to the sky. Shrug your shoulders up by the ears as you melt. Press your shoulder blades onto the back of the ribs. Inhale and round through the spine. Puff up into the back body, cat spine. Slow and controlled. Tilt your sit bones to the sky. Find that length from the hips to the shoulders and melt your heart, lifting your skull last. Last time, inhale, round, vertebra by vertebra, rounding up into cat spine. Slow and controlled. Tilt your sit bones to the sky, melt through the heart, coming into cow. Come to a little bit more of a neutral position. Walk your knees back until you land in a sphinx pose. Press the tops of the feet down. Find strength in your legs. Bring your right ear over towards your right shoulder. Tuck your chin down towards your collarbone, and then bring your left ear over towards your left shoulder. Lean your skull back. And just rewind. So take those circles through the skull as you're warming up through the neck. Land with your skull back through center. Sphinx pose. Pull your right heel towards your sit bone. Reach around with your right hand to grab for the big toe side of your foot, thigh stretch. If you can, face your fingertips forward towards the front of the mat. Actively kick your foot into your hand as you pull the heel towards the bum. Breathe. And release your foot. Gentle thigh stretch. Pull the knees back in towards the midline. This time pull your left heel towards your bum. Reach around with your left hand to grab the foot. You'll see I'm not really using my left hand to grab much right now, so I'm actually using my elbow to hook the foot. If you have that range of motion, you're more than welcome to do that. Keep spinning your chest forward into space. Heavy down through that left thigh. Left hip. Breathe. Release your foot. Warm up the core a little bit, so keep your shoulders over the elbows the whole time. And when we do core, we want to kind of tuck the tailbone. So no sticking the butt up, but rather when you press into your forearms, round through your spine, your hips should never go higher than your back. And the knees will stay down with this one. Slow and controlled, lower your hips down. Just move with the breath. Inhale, lift up. Modified forearm plank, core engagement. Tug the elbows back towards the knees. Exhale, lower your hips down. Pull the heart through again, round. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, lower down. Take about 3 more of these. Lift. and lower. Lift, lower. Last one, lift up and lower all the way down. Soften your chest down. Bring your arms to a cactus shape on your mat and start to roll to the outside edge of your left hip. Walk your right hand fingertips in towards your face. Breathe into the chest. Breathe into the front of the body. Maybe you ground that right foot behind you, but that's not necessary. You can always just let the right leg stay straight. Breathe. Come all the way back through center, second side. Line up your right elbow with the right shoulder. Pull your left shoulder into the socket. And breathe. Come all the way back through center. Press the tops of the feet down. Let's start with bringing the hands by the sides. A low floating cobra is what I like to call it. Press your pelvis down. Lift your arms to a little bit of a float. So the only thing that's lifting you up right now is the strength of your back. Press the tops of the feet down to stay rooted. Exhale, lower down. Press your hands into the mat. Inhale, come up, maybe a medium cobra. Pull your shoulders back. Exhale, fold. Keep that strength in the legs. Pull your belly in. Inhale, rise up. Maybe you come all the way up to a high cobra. Shift your shoulders up by the ears and pull your shoulders back. Now, I see a lot of students straighten out through your elbows. Cobra, the elbows don't really straighten. It's more of a kind of a little bend, and you tug your hands back to keep the pelvis on the earth. The elbows actually need to have a little bend in them most of the time. Slowly lower all the way back down. Tuck your toes. Lift your way up through a tabletop or a plank. And I'm going to come onto my forearms, but the rest of you can come into downward facing dog on your hands. If you have wrist pain and you don't want to be on your wrists, come onto your forearms. I will warn you, dolphin is not necessarily an easy alternative, but it is better for where I'm at today. Keep pressing your hands into the mat if you're in down dog. If you're in dolphin, just press your forearms into the mat really strong. Take one more breath here. And then everyone make their way up to the front of the mat in a Malasana squat. So go wide with your feet. Your toes will be out about 30 degrees, the heels in. Bring your hands to a prayer. Shift your weight a little bit side to side and back and forth. And breathe. In Malasana squat, practice getting a little lift of the hips so your tail's not tucking under. The hips are back a little bit into space, and maybe that means they're lifted higher. Work a nice long spine. Breathe. Stay with me here. Now ground your fingertips. Start to shift your hips high. Turn your toes in and your heels out. Functional forward fold. Line up the outside edge of your feet with the long edge of the mat. Create just a little bit of a bend in both of your knees as you hinge your hips back. Squeeze your shins towards the midline. Widen your upper inner thighs back wide and apart. Breathe more breath into the sides and into the back of your body. On an inhale, halfway lift, glide your hands up your shins. Take any rounding out of your spine. Grab your hips, press down and out through the power of your legs as you rise to stand. Step your feet back to hip distance apart. Look down at your feet. Spread through all, maybe lift all 10 toes and then spread them wide. Re-ground them on the mat. Release your hands by your sides. Tarasana, mountain pose. Stay strong and energized through your legs. Pull your shoulders back. Press into the earth. Inhale, circle sweep, reach your arms up. And exhale, release your arms by your sides. Earth, sky, pranayama. So just moving the breath with the body. Inhale's bringing you up. And the exhale takes you down. Work to stretch your breath in both directions. And as your arms go down, keep remembering the stability and the essence of the sky. And as your arms reach up, stay firmly planted to your feet on the earth. Take 2 more with your breath. Work to move your body just behind the breath. Next time your arms stay up, reach up, keep your arms high. Grab your right wrist, take an inhale. Exhale, side bend up and over towards the left. Tug on your wrist. Press down and out through your legs. Inhale, come back through center. Switch your clasp and take the side bend up and over the other way. Standing crescent. Press down and out through the legs. Inhale, back through center. Exhale, cactus your arms and pull the tops of your ears back into space. Inhale, pull navel to spine. Lift through the back side of your waist. Reach your arms high. Exhale, rotation. Bring your right arm back and your left arm forward. Inhale, circle your hand down. Come back through center. Exhale, twist. Bring your left arm back, right arm forward. Inhale and come back through center. Exhale, come to a chair pose. Let your hips sink low. Send your hips back a little bit into space and maybe bring your feet a little closer together. That might feel more stable for you. Keep the weight in your heels and drive your heels down into the mat. Press your heels out a little bit without moving them. See if that turns on the outer edge of your hips. Take an inhale. Exhale, let your hips sink a little lower. One more breath, inhale. Exhale, hinge at your hips. Interlace your hands behind your back. Bound forward fold. Baddha, uttanasana. Lift your shoulders up and drop them over your back body. Let your knees still have a little bend in them. It's okay to have the belly touching the thighs here. And breathe. Release your hands. Inhale, halfway lift. Either your fingertips will stay on the earth or the hands comes to the shin. Press your thigh bones back into space so you're taking all the rounding out of your low back, really your whole spine. Exhale, fold. Press into the earth. Inhale, circle sweep. Reach your arms high. Exhale, palms to heart. Move with the breath, half sun salutation. Inhale, reach your arms high. Exhale, hinge at your hips. No rounding through the spine. Forward folds. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, folds. Press your feet down and out through the ground. Inhale, circle sweep, reach up. And exhale, palms to heart. Take 2 more like that, half sun salutations. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, long spine, soft bend in the knees, forward folds. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen through your spine. Exhale, folds. Press your feet into the earth. Inhale, circle sweep, reach up. Exhale, palms to heart. Last round, follow the breath. Inhale, reach up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hinge at your hips. Forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold, Uttanasana. Press down and out through the legs. Inhale, circle sweep, reach high, Urdhva Hastasana. And exhale, palms to heart center. All right, reach your arms up. Sink your hips low. Find yourself in a chair pose. Inhale. Exhale, twist. Bring your left arm back, right arm forward. Inhale, come back through center. Exhale, twist right arm back, left arm forward. Inhale, come back through center. Stand down into your left leg. Pull your right knee in towards your chest. One-legged Tarasana. Find your balance. Now you can straighten your leg or you can keep it bent. Find your airplane or warrior 3. Bring your chest forward until your trunk is about horizontal to the mat. Keep a lift in the chest. Lift your arms. So airplane is with your arms by your sides. If you want to make it more challenging, you can always stretch your arms forward for a warrior 3. Bend into your front knee and ground your right toes on the mat. Squeeze your legs towards one another. Rise up. Crescent lunge. Find your footing. So make sure you're not on a tight rope. Your feet should be hip distance apart. Stack your front knee just over the ankle. Press your back thigh back into space, and now squeeze your legs towards one another. Wrap your right inner thigh forward into space. Grab your right wrist, inhale. Exhale, side bend up and over towards the left. Inhale and come back through center. Exhale, begin to hinge at your hips. Bring your hands down to a block or to the earth. Straighten out through your left leg any amount. Pull your left hip back as you wrap your right hip forward and press your left big toe mound down into the ground nice and strong. Modified pyramid pose. Option to flex the toes towards the ceiling and spread right wide through your toes. Breathe. Begin to bend into your front knee, press into the earth and rise back up to a crescent lunge. From crescent lunge, you're gonna come back to one-legged Tarasana. So use the strength of your back leg to give a little kick. Stand down into your left foot, pull the right knee in towards your chest, one-legged Tarasana. Cross your ankle over your knee and sink your hips low, figure 4 standing. Breathe. In your figure 4, you want your hips to be low, which means you have to bend into your left knee maybe a little more than you may think. Flex your right toes back towards your ankle. That's going to create tension, strength around the outer edge of your front shin, your right shin. Bring the hips down and back and the chest forward and up. Press down and out through your left leg. Pull your right knee in towards your chest. Find stability. Ground your right foot next to the left. Mountain pose, Tarasana. Take a moment to breathe and connect back to your breath if you've lost connection to the Ujjayi breath. Second side, inhale, reach your arms high. Exhale, start to sink your hips low. Transfer your weight this time to the right foot. Pull the left knee in towards your chest. One-legged Tarasana. Straighten out through the leg and hinge your hips back. Bring the left leg back as the trunk comes forward, warrior 3. Point your left toes down and lift up really from the strength of the left inner thigh here. Breathe. Notice where the breath is moving in your lungs. Can you breathe more up into the back body? Think you're lifting all of your organs up and in to help stay strong through the core. Bend into your front knee. Ground your left toes on the mat. Press down and out through the legs as you rise up, crescent lunge. Find your foundation, find your footing. Feet should, and you know, when you step back to crescent lunge, if it feels like your stance is just too short to really get a stretch and that back thigh, just kind of wiggle your back foot back until the hips start to sink a little lower. Squeeze your legs towards one another. Grab your left wrist, inhale. Exhale, side bend up and over towards the right. Press down and out through the power of your legs. Inhale, come back through center. Exhale, hinge at your hips. Ground your fingertips on the earth or on a block and straighten out through your right leg. Engage to the right side of your belly. Pull it up and away from the thigh. Pull energy up from the legs, from the earth, through the legs into the pelvis. And from the pelvis, stretch out long through the legs, long through the spine. Maybe you bow your head more towards your shin. Begin to halfway lift through your spine, bend into your front knee, press down and out through your legs as you rise back up to the crescent lunge. Spread through your right toes and pull your left knee in towards your chest. One-legged Tarasana. Cross left ankle over your right knee, sink your hips low, figure 4. And breathe. Keep your gaze at one fixed point. It's called your dristi, your point of focus. Take 2 more cycles of breath here. Stand down into your right leg, pull the left knee in, find the stability, and release your left foot to meet the right. Take 3 deep breaths. Bring your attention inward and just notice how you feel after showing up and moving and breathing and being present on your mat today. Begin to quarter turn on your mat. So now you're going to be facing the long edge of your mat, and make your stance nice and wide. Come to Tarasana, starlight pose. How wide, you may ask? Well, about as wide as if your ankles were lining up with your wrists. So you want to be wide enough that you feel like you can expand, right? You don't feel so contracted that you feel stuck. But you don't want to be so wide that it feels like you're just going to keep stretching, right? So a balance between stability and ease. Take an inhale. Exhale. Begin to pivot your heels in and your toes out. Sink your hips low to a goddess pose. Let your hips be about as low as your knees. Maybe you rest your hands on your thighs and shift your weight a little side to side, opening up through the hips. Stay really strong and engage through your glutes here. Land through center with those hips. Reach your arms to a little cactus. Inhale, lift up a little. Exhale, lower a little. Pulse it, inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. 2 more, lift. And lower. And lift. And lower. Straighten out through your legs and your arms. Turn your heels in and your toes out. Pivot your right toes forward and bend into your right knee, warrior 2. Press your back thigh back into space. Take a peek down at your foundation. Front heel lines up with the middle of the back arch or the back heel. Pull the navel up and in and widen your front knee towards the pinky toe. Connect to a deeper breath. Inhale, flip your palm, reach forward, and reverse your warrior. Viparita Virabhadrasana. Now take it to a reverse triangle. Straighten out through your front leg. Engage through your front thigh nice and strong. The whole thigh needs to be contracted here. Start to hinge at your hips. Hinge, hinge, hinge until you can't really hinge anymore. Then grab a water bottle or a block and plant your hand outside the right ankle. Reach your left arm up. Pull both of your shoulders back into space, and from the pelvis expand out long through the legs. You might realize once you land in triangle pose that you want a little more length. And if that's the case, heel toe your back foot back into space so you have that length. With all the strength and the engagement, expand out from the pelvis down and out through the legs, long through the spine, wide through your arms. And bend into your front knee, come all the way back up. warrior two. Second side, if you had the block, you can grab your block and just put it in your other hand. Pivot your toes in, starlight. Now pivot your opposite toes towards the back of the mat. If you have that block, you can place it on the outside edge of your left foot at whatever height you may want. And bend into your front knee, warrior two. Inhale, reverse your warrior. Breathe into both the left and the right side of the body. Start to straighten out through your front knee. Engage through your front thigh, nice and strong. Squeeze the leg muscles. Hinge at your hips. Hinge, hinge, hinge until you can't really hinge any longer. Ground the hand outside the ankle. Pull both shoulders back. Stay engaged through your core so we have this strong contraction around the muscles. From the pelvis, stretch out long and wide. It's like you're a shooting star, but you're not going in any one direction. You're going in all directions. And breathe. Press down and out through the power of your legs. Come back through center. Pivot your toes in, starlight pose. Turn your heels in and your toes out, back to goddess. Let your hips sink low. Maybe you come even lower this time, kind of like a mix between a goddess and a Malasana squat. Stay engaged through your glutes and just send your weight side to side. So really working on opening up through those inner thighs. Now ground your fingertips. Turn your heels out, your toes in, wide-legged fold. Walk your hands towards the right. Bend into your left knee and keep crawling your left hand fingertips a little farther than the right. Breathe a nice deep full breath into that left side body. And back towards center, take it the other way. If you went the wrong way, just go the opposite way. This time you're crawling your right hand fingertips farther than the left. And there's just a little bend in your right knee. Come back towards center. Bring both hands towards the front of the mat. Spin both feet towards the front of the mat. Options, okay? You can step back and flow through your own little vinyasa, down dog to chaturanga to a cobra. Or you can just find your way to a seat. I planted my fists, grabbed my knees, and shift my hips off to one side. In the yoga world, there's so many fancy transitions, but they're not necessarily the only way to go about it. So find your way to a seat. Grab some water if you need it. And stretch your legs out long on your mat. Point your toes straight up. If you feel you're rounding through your spine, you could sit up on a blanket, a block, or a bolster. Or you can also, for those of you that aren't that rounded, but a little bit, grab your glute and your inner thigh, rotate it, so pull it out back into space and ground the sit bone. Do the second thing on the other side. Heavy the pelvis down, heavy down into your sit bones. Inhale, lengthen long through your arms to the sides of your waist. Begin to hinge at your hips and just notice how far can you hinge until you can't hinge anymore and your spine must round. Grab for the outside edges of your feet. You can also grab for your big toes. And breathe. Start to come all the way back up. Bring your legs nice and wide, about maybe not as wide as you can go, maybe as wide as you can go, and then coming in about 2 or 3 inches. Otherwise, you might get a cramp like I just got in my glute. Point those toes straight up. Come on the fingertips and start to kind of crawl yourself forward. And some of you may not be able to crawl forward. That's just tight hamstrings. That will happen, okay? So if that's you, stay upright, work a nice long spine. Otherwise, if you're wanting to go deeper, maybe you can even go deeper than I can and get your chest on the floor. This is a pretty expansive pose, and when we are expanding, we must find strength. So squeeze your legs nice and strong. Work to keep your sit bones rooted on the mat as you come to this forward fold. Now take it to the left. Bring your hands all the way over towards the left. Reach your right arm high, and maybe your arm reaches way in line with your ear. And maybe you reach all the way to grab for your foot if that's available to you. And if you do have your foot, keep working to just twist open so you're not curling under. Unwind, slide your hands all the way over towards the right. Grab for the right foot and reach your left arm up and around. Reach, reach, reach. Maybe you grab the foot, maybe you don't. And breathe. Wrap your right torso underneath your left. Breathe into both sides of the body. And round yourself down, come through center and rise all the way up. Bend your knees and bring yourself to a cross-legged seat. So this is where some of you may stop and just sit and kind of watch, but you're also welcome to move step by step with where we're going. If you do have a yoga strap, it will give you access to go deeper if you want. So Surya Yantrasana. Start with cradling your right foot, actually left. Grab your left foot and bring your foot in the elbow pit and then your knee in the opposite elbow pit. And just start to kind of rock your leg. Hindolasana, so baby cradle pose. You can just rock a little side to side here. And this might be where you stop. This is a really good stretch. If you are stopping, maybe you stretch your left arm out and roll out the glute a little bit. But I'm going to keep going for those of you that want to keep it going. Bring the left arm to grab the back of the right calf, or the back of the left calf, sorry. And then flip your grip with your right hand. So you're now grabbing the top of your left foot with your right hand. Stretch your opposite arm out. Come onto the fingertips so your left arm is going under that thigh. Now you could stay here, or maybe you stretch that right leg out and come to Surya Yantrasana, sundial pose, also known as compass pose. Pull both of your shoulders back. Take any rounding out of your spine that you can. And release. Unwind. I know that's a lot. So don't be too hard on yourself. This practice is meant to be a practice for a reason. There's always postures to come back to refine. Second side. So baby cradle. The foot is going in the elbow pit. And I didn't say this on the other side, but you don't want a lazy foot. Otherwise, it's not creating healthy patterns for the outer edge of your ankle. So flex your toes back towards your ankle. Work a nice long spine and just kind of rock your shin back and forth. From here we go. We're going to flip the grip with the left hand and then use your right hand, grab the calf, walk your thigh up the outer edge of your arm and stretch your arm out long. From there, you can just hold it and keep reaching. So the elbow, your left elbow has to go high. Think reach your elbow past your ear and then straighten out through your right leg. Reach your left elbow high. Surya Yantrasana. So that tendency is to just shove your neck way forward. Can you pull your palate back? Pull your shoulders back as you twist open. And breathe. Slowly release, unwind. All right. Ground your feet and come to lie on your back. When you arrive on your back body, all the work is not done here. We've done a lot of hamstring opening, so let's just create a little bit of engagement. Drive into your heels, lift your hips up, set to baddha, sarvangasana, bridge pose. Squeeze your glutes nice and strong. And breathe. Option to take a few dips, lower your hips, and lift your hips up. Lower and lift. Keep squeezing your inner thighs towards the midline. Lift, lower, lift, lower for 3, 2, and 1. Ground your hips on the mat. Pull your knees in, wrap your forearms around your shins. Give yourself a little squeeze. Maybe you find happy baby pose. Grab for the outside edges of your feet, ankles or knees, and pull your feet down as you press your feet up into your hands. Find your breath. Bring your knees back in. Bring your hands to your kneecaps. Create some circles with your knees in one direction. And take those circles with your knees in the other direction. Pause. Take an inhale. Exhale. Stretch your legs out long. Your arms by your sides for a nice shavasana resting pose. Take a full inhale. Open mouth, HA. Take the next few moments to rest and bathe in the energy that you created here on your mat today. Shavasana.